Wilson. I am founder and ringleader of the House of ROCKSTAR, and so happy to be here. My friend, my colleague, my sister, my ROCKSTAR grad, Lisa Parsons. I'm so happy to have time with you, and thank you for doing this. So, should I tell the story of how we met, or do you want to tell that story?
Why don't you start, and then I'll explain my experience that I had with it. Yeah.
So I had just come back from India in January of 2020, which feels like 10 lifetimes ago, where I was studying singing and sound healing. And I came back and thought, I have enough experience facilitating and leading things. I've never done something like this, but I'm going to see if I can pull together a small group of local women to have a sound healing experience. So I reached out to my crew, my ROCKSTAR grads, my coachy goddess people, and one of our mutual friends said, Lisa, you got to come to this event. I wonder what your experience was actually. We're going to do some singing and sound healing. What did you think when she said that?
It was just like, okay, I loved, I'll say her name, Pasha, and I had no idea what I was up for. I had like a crazy meeting that day, but I'm like, nope, I'm going to go. And walked into the most beautiful space with you, looking at the ocean and just meeting you for the first time. And I can read people pretty quickly. And I was like, I like her.
Likewise.
And yeah. And it was just women just supporting each other, which, I haven't had that honestly. I have wonderful friends, but that sisterhood, just experiencing that. And it was my turn to receive, which I have, as you know, a hard time doing. And you asked if there were any needs that I had. And I'm pretty sure I said, no, I'm good. I'm going to do it, but I think I'm good. I'm okay. And I'm lying down on the ground, and all of a sudden I start just crying, and just floodgates opened, and it was the ugly cry, literally just confusing. And yeah, it was so vulnerable and so magical. And as soon as that was done, I was just like, whatever Megan Jo is doing, I'm signing up for, because this is amazing. And you opened my eyes to the feminine power and safety and all the things that I believe in and are inside of me. But I found my tribe, basically.
Yes, goddess, you did. It was such a beautiful day. And part of it, just to give anyone who's listening a little context, is we're putting women on the floor and singing, making sounds to her. Now this was, we had built up to it after a couple of hours, and I taught them some tools, and we had tuning forks, and I was teaching them some of the basics of sound healing. But it is profound and it is deep. And what's so fascinating about your story, your background, is that you're an OBGYN, you've gone through like years and years of Western medical training. So I'm just so fascinated about what it's like to be a woman in the healthcare field. And I know a little bit about it, but can you just share more about your journey, who you work with, and what that's like?
Absolutely. So, yeah, just as you said, I've been doing this for years and years, and my 30s were basically in school and training, and I don't remember much of my 30s, but it's the whole keep going, nose down. Like in the end of the day, all I wanted to do was take care of people and take care of women. But I wanted to be the best, right? Like I wanted to reach the highest point. So I went to a very competitive residency, and then I found an amazing job in Portland, and I became the chair of the department, and just kept going and really reached kind of, for me, the highest level that I thought was success. And at the end of it, I was miserable. All I did was work, and every cell in my body was like, this isn't working. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. So I decided at that point, even before I knew what my next step was, that I was going to leave the practice. Um, and it was terrifying. And yeah, I was really, really lost for a while, just saying, how do I make this work? Um, and so what I did was I took a year off and did travel work in different rural hospitals, while figuring out like which model would work for me in terms of having a more balanced life. And I think, I'm not sure if I told you this too, but 2 of my mentors also passed away from ALS. So that was another push for me of like, is this all there is, right? So I did the travel work. I worked with a vocational counselor, um, and just that's where I found Central Maine Medical Center, where I worked as a laborist, which means working at night as a nocturnist, for about 6 years, right? So I worked kind
Wow.
of, I worked for a 12-hour shift, come home. Also, I teach at the medical school, and just I think kind of hiding, to be honest with you. And then I went to your workshop. I started a practice with 2 other doctors, called Mindful Roots, and I'm trying to build a different type of medical practice that works for me and my philosophy, and also what I feel that women need. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I'm
Incredible.
super excited about it. So yeah.
It says so much about you. And I love hearing these stories because you dedicated so much time and energy and money in a system that you thought was going to work for you. And
Hmm.
this is what happens to so many of us. I just have heard this story so many times as a coach, as a person, as a human,
Hmm.
but not everyone follows the risk that's required to break from that cage because
Yes.
it probably in many ways secure and stable and you were
Auto-
needed,
yeah.
celebrated, paid.
Yeah, and and I still do a wonderful job. I still work in the traditional system, but within kind of my parameters. But I'm good at what I do, and
Right.
yeah, I brag. So I brag, but it's just I need to do more, and I do. I'm one of those people that I look outside of the box, and I'm not afraid to make a change, and that I'm very proud of.
Yeah,
So
I know this about you. So, what is your kind of philosophy of working with women and in women's health?
so yeah, I would say my philosophy, and also what I see are the deficits that
Yeah.
currently are, um, time. So, and this is not to say that people that work in traditional medicine are not good doctors, or the hospitals don't have good intentions. It's just that the system is set up so that no one wins, right? So the doctors or practitioners are stressed for time. They have to see a certain amount of patients every day. And so it does not give you the space to give women the opportunity to really tell their story and feel safe with really intimate details, right? Such as their sexuality. And another love that I have is pelvic floor, dysfunction after childbirth and incontinence, and all the like kind of taboo things that people feel that they can't talk about. And the doctors hands on the door, and finally they'll say, oh, by the way, right? Or mental health. And yeah, it breaks my heart, because of course I want to stay there for an hour to hear your story.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't allow us that time. Electronic medical records,
Right.
coding, things take away from the care of people. So I want to develop a space where women feel comfortable and safe, not judged. That's the other thing with me, is just, if somebody wants to have Botox, right? And that makes you feel better about yourself, fantastic. You can still be a natural person and have these things done. Or if you want to tell me about, your relationship, or discharge, or whatever, anything, lubrication, we've talked about that. Like, who knew
Yes.
that different types of lubrications that can help women with intercourse, or, you know, whatever they choose to do. Yeah, just a supportive place where people can really tell their stories, and I want to have them feel that. And
Oh, it gives me chills, you know, because what you're talking about is holistic health.
yes.
And really, it's actually, from my point of view as a coach, it's a coach like approach to health
Hmm.
where you want to know the whole story and you want to know what's working, what's not working, you know, and have it's like the true meaning of patient centered, where it's
Hmm.
not just to check the boxes on the computer system, which I understand. I worked in healthcare too, where what they're trying to get from that. But then you're focused on the computer and not the person.
Correct.
And what I know about you, and I just want to paint a picture for everyone, it's like imagine going into a doctor's appointment with someone who's empathic, caring, who listens, who asks questions, who says, "What else?
Hmm.
What are your goals? What do you want it to feel like? What would it be like if you know, how do you want it to be?" Like
Hmm.
that's the way that I think we are moving in healthcare, because there are a lot of other visionaries like you who are saying this system cannot support health, actually.
Right.
So I'm going to go create my own thing.
Yeah. And, you know, in terms of research for women's sexual function and it's so lacking. So what I've done is I've found these beautiful women in our community, pelvic floor physical therapists, sexual therapists, yoga instructors, wonderful, you know, entrepreneurs like yourself, and like finding our community so that you can help someone with whatever they need. And it's not, I'm not the answer for everyone. You know, it's multiple people coming together and really finding what works and what doesn't work. Um, but yeah.
That's amazing. I love it's like a one-stop shop for for all of your needs, and it's such a beautiful place. Can you talk a little bit about like what kinds of issues your patients come with, just to like break the taboos or educate people? What are people coming with?
Okay, so there's two different branches. So Mindful Roots is my practice currently in West Falmouth that I co-founded with Dr. Kraus and Dr. Daniel, and our focus is on pelvic floor strengthening for incontinence. So we have a treatment called the MCELA, which is based on very high frequency magnetic therapy that strengthens the pelvic floor, and it's FDA approved treatment for urge and stress incontinence. So that's where people will have incontinence when they cough and sneeze, or they can't get to the bathroom on time. It's also helpful for sexual function and pelvic floor prolapse. So, you know, when I looked at our community and kind of where things were lacking, definitely, I think women's pelvic floor health, there's a huge deficit. And with our aging population too, with incontinence, it's huge. It requires a lot of money, you know, to care for incontinence, and it causes people to not go on vacation, to not have
Right.
experience with their partner, and they just feel shame, and I'm all about taking away the shame. So that's one of the big things that we offer. The M Sculpt, so we're kind of medical spa kind of development here. So the M Sculpt
Yes.
is for core strength and also some fat reduction to the core. In addition, for women who've been pregnant and their rectus muscles will separate, you know, that's really hard to fix, but the M Sculpt will help fix that. And we also I do some skin stuff. So we're do something called the Morpheus, which will tighten skin, helps with stretch marks and acne scars and fine lines. And I've even become certified for injecting neurotoxins, fillers. So part beauty inside and out, basically.
Yes. The Morpheus.
Well, yeah, and people will come and tell me their birth stories, you know, and we process that. We'll talk about, you know, other issues that they're having with their significant others. It's just we spend a lot of time together. So with that is me acknowledging now that I want to kind of be able to offer them also the gynecology care, which is where Higher Ground is gonna take me.
To a higher ground.
Yeah.
Da-na-na-na. We need it. We need it. We need it. And your patients must be so grateful and so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I still see people, like you'll go to the grocery store and I'll see people that I delivered 13 years ago and they'll never forget you. Like that was such a, I still love what I do. I'm still a full-time OBGYN, and to be there during the most intimate part of someone's life, right? And then you see the children and they're now 13 years old or 15 years old getting their freaking driver's license. I'm like, oh my God, this community, and I love it.
And it must be amazing. And I know I'm grateful to have you as a resource because I know I can come to you with my real stuff and there's going to be no shame. As you
No.
said,
Mm-mm.
it's just like straightforward. Okay, right on. Let's talk about it. Let's take care
Mm.
of it. Let's
Yeah.
let's
Let's
figure
make
it out together in
Yeah.
sisterhood.
Mhm.
And I just don't have that experience elsewhere.
To use for a cervix, right? Like there is a whole part of you as
Yes. My
your brain,
important cervix.
your vagina.
It's true. It's so true. I'm so grateful for what you do. And just for people that are watching, if they wanted to meet with you either for a consult, I even wonder about other healthcare providers who are like curious about branching out in this way that you have. Um, you and I are both in Maine, and Mindful Roots is in Falmouth, Maine. But what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Yep. So you can, I would say, go to our website, www.mindful-roots.com. Or you can, friend us on Facebook or Instagram. I'll answer Instagram messages. Yeah. Or you can just call us 207-777-1889, and I'll be happy to talk to anyone. And you can always come to the practice. Like we do offer free consults and demos, and until you're there, it's really hard to kind of sometimes grasp the concept of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So really the best way is to meet face to face. And another just interesting thing to mention that people might not know that exists is something called direct primary care. And it's where you basically will pay a monthly membership to have full access to a doctor, that unlimited office visits, wholesale medications and labs. Like when you actually look at healthcare, it can be a very reasonable way to get really good care. So that's where I'm kind of branching off with in terms of my gynecology practice. And I think it's going to change the way a lot of people find their healthcare.
It's definitely changing the way that I am finding my healthcare. And, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I think it's needed. It's revolutionary. We got to turn the ship. We have to have alternatives that work for all people. I'm so grateful for what you're doing. And people even outside of Maine could call you and get to know you. I'm actually
Yeah.
going to go into the office, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So we'll do like some Facebook lives or something. We'll show off the office. And I know you're showing all the really sort of forward thinking, cutting edge stuff you all are doing to support
Yeah.
women's health.
Absolutely.
So
Excited.
needed. So
Yeah.
grateful that you took that leap and said, I can't work in the system anymore. I gotta do something that really serves women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for your time. Thank you for
Yeah.
your work, for this conversation. Follow Lisa Parsons. Go to Mindful Roots. Let's revolutionize women's healthcare. One cervix, one full woman at a time.
That's going to be my bumper sticker. That's great.
Love you so much.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye.